Let's walk through a few steps to set up for free motion quilting. So first off, there are two free motion quilting feet that actually come with this machine, plus an optional open toe free motion foot that you can purchase separately at your local Pfaff store. So when you want to do free motion quilting, I always look for the free motion quilting symbol. When I touch it, you're going to have options of which of these 3 feet you're actually using. Now, to tell you the truth, I had to kind of work my way through the manual and double check which foot is for which setting, so I picked the right one for based on the needs that I'm doing. So the first one is a dynamic spring foot. So this one is the one that comes with the machine that you actually also use for embroidery. Now, one thing that you did maybe hear is that there was a little click, and those are the feed dogs lowering for this mode. Now, one of the things you also have is that you can use this for any decorative stitch. You can actually, you do have to make sure you narrow it down so it doesn't overstep the boundaries, but you can actually use it for more than just a straight stitch. Now, another thing I do recommend is a straight stitch throat plate, which you can also purchase separately. So you do want to make sure that you actually, you don't have the IDT engaged, so I'm disengaging that, making it come up behind. And then this part here actually pushes in to the screw opening just below the screw, and then sometimes what I'll do is lower down my presser foot just a little bit, kind of helps let that come in a little bit easier, and then tighten the screw with your fingers in the back. So we're all ready to stitch. Now, what's the difference? Now, this one is the third one down, the Sensormatic free motion setting. And with this, you notice there's a little arrow, so you touch and hold that. You do. There we go. And there is a symbol where you can adjust it to be higher or lower against your fabric. So this actually kind of hovers. So if it hovers too high above your fabric, you need to lower it so it's closer. But then you also needs to make sure it doesn't push down on your fabric too much that you can't physically move it underneath it. So there's kind of a balance with this particular one. This one's more for darning. So again, those could be some thicker layers. This one is more suited for your free motion quilting, but this one, your optional one, let's just X out of here, is your spring foot free motion setting. So that one, it almost has a hopping point to this and really helps make sure that your stitches stay nice and even when you're sewing. Free motion, you're bouncing up and down on your fabric, and you can also see where you're going because it's open toe. So this one's probably my most favorite, but for the ones that come with the machine, use the one that you had set up for the embroidery option, and that is the first one, the Dynamic Spring Foot 6D free motion setting. So now that we're all set up, the feed dogs have already lowered, and now it's really about you learning how to move the fabric nice and smooth when you are free motion quilting. If you do want to bring your bobbin thread up, you can go ahead and needle up, needle down. I know mine was cut the last time I stitched, so it's very short. Sometimes that's actually a little harder to get to come up. But just keep your foot on the foot control and start to move your fabric. I like the needle stopping down so it holds it in place when I actually go to pause. If you feel like you are going a little bit too fast, remember we have the speed option where we could slow that down, so touch and hold, and you can actually find like a cruise control type level. So for example, if I'm here and I step all the way down on my foot control, this is as fast as it will go. Where if I had it at full speed, I would be racing even further and faster. So the goal is, of course, to keep all those stitches nice and even. But before I go any further, sometimes you do need to adjust your tension. There's just something about a foot hopping up and down and not being so tight against the fabric that we want to look on the back side and just see, are we getting the same balance of stitch that we see on the front? Sometimes we get the top thread pulling to the back. That's pretty much the concept or problem that we would run into. And then we can come over to the tension area and tighten it up. So if anything, you usually tighten it up a little bit for this setting, and then just go ahead and do a little bit more stitching. and see if it works for you. So we do have some fabulous recommendations of Craftsy classes to help you master your movement and other shapes and patterns. If you want to even go as far as mastering feathers and beautiful quilting options, there are some fabulous quilting classes. Through the links below this YouTube video, you can find those. But when you're done with free motion quilting, go ahead and touch the free motion symbol, uncheck the box of the foot you're using, and then it will go back to a normal foot and normal setting for regular sewing and not the hopping part of the free motion.